the integration of drones and the use of drones, both from a hobbyist perspective and also from a professional perspective, is not harmonized. It's not harmonized across Europe, and it's not harmonized around the world. You can do certain things in some countries and not in others. And Europe are quite keen to get together and sort this out to harmonize it. They had a meeting in Riga in Latvia in March of this year, and they issued a declaration. And in it, they described drones as being truly transformational technology. And they set out 5 principles to get drones flying into the air safely in non-segregated airspace, so with other air users. And they're listed here. And interesting to note is number 4, for example, public acceptance is key. And also number 3, around developing fully integrated use of drones. And here in the report and the declaration, they talk about data protection as well as being key and critical. But that wasn't really a report solely about privacy and data protection, but it's fed into some other things. And in the last couple of weeks, we've seen the policymakers in Europe come out with 2 opinions, and analysis documents. The first is, as was mentioned earlier, the Article 29 Working Party opinion, which is a good read. And the Libe Committee have also issued an analysis paper as well, which is another good read. And I'm going to focus mainly on the Article 29 Working Party opinion here. But the Libe analysis is a good one to read if you want a bit more of an overview about the current state of affairs of getting drones in the sky. Gives quite a good summary. So, focusing on data protection and this subject, it's fair to say, and it's identified in the Working Party's opinion, that there's no specific legislation in member states dealing specifically with drone use, kind of as you'd expect with new technologies in many ways. And so the relevant legal frameworks are dealt with by the directive and a kind of patchwork of other laws as well, including to the frustration of many of the drone clients I work with, that they get lumped together with the CCTV bracket as well. But you can see how judges and courts are using some of the thinking that's gone around CCTV when they're trying to analyze how this could apply here. And there may be some exemptions and derogations available, as you'd expect, mainly the household-type exemptions. Although note, the Lindqvist case from 2003, which talked about this area, and they said that, look, this has to be construed fairly narrowly, and of course, once you start putting personal data and that type of information onto the internet, which quite commonly, especially the hobbyists, well, actually all users who fly these drones for media purposes or to film, the first thing they do is stick it up on Vimeo or another video site, and that means that they can no longer be held to rely on that exemption. And the other, for the media guys, is the journalistic exemption as well, which can be useful for them. Although, again, there's questions about how ethical this is. I've sort of argued in the past that actually, more generally, I think journalists need a bit more bandwidth and a bit more leniency to get flying responsibly with drones, because otherwise what we're finding now is that people are just using the phantoms that we saw earlier to create user-generated content dangerously, and then that's finding its way into the media channels. So if the more responsible news-gathering organizations can get into the air and fly, then that might be a good approach. So it's worth just saying this is again a typical setup for a sort of small professional drone operator. You can see the chap's flying his drone platform there. He's holding a control ground station, and there's a spectrum link between the platform that's flying and the control station he's using. Typically, they'll use 2.4 gigahertz, which is the piece of wireless spectrum that's used commonly. It's sort of at the open bit of spectrum, if you like. And then, as I said earlier, he will then likely go and take his footage and probably upload it onto his computer system and share that around as well. So immediately you can see that it's not just the platform in the sky. There's the whole ecosystem and data flowing liberally.